rainy but still nice day. And I just want to thank Brody for coming out here today. And she's going to discuss her book, The Last Kiss. And it'll be open to questions and answers afterwards. And if you'd like, there's some copies up here for sale. So enjoy yourself, and thanks again for coming. I'll turn it over to Leslie Brody.
I'm going to stand because I can talk better, but I have to say we've all been talking because most folks here are friends of my mom's, but I just have to introduce Jennifer Ward just walked in, who her family owns the newspaper I worked at, the Brody Record, for many, many years. So I'm really touched that you came.
Thank you. I'm a member of the library, and I got the notice, and I said, I can't miss it. I was such a girl whether I'd be out here, and I'm sorry to land on you last minute, but I just last minute came out. So
I just have
could not be here to support you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm very fortunate because for some of you who've read the book, you'll know I met my husband at the paper, so I wouldn't have gotten married and had my whole life if it hadn't been for Jennifer's family's paper. And just to put in a plug for flexible work, I was able to work part-time for all of my kids growing up because the Borgs were smart enough to realize that they could keep a lot of talented women on their staff, men I suppose, but mostly women on their staff who were able to work 3 days a week as newspaper reporters, which is very unusual because the record couldn't really offer the kind of money and benefits and prestige of the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, these places in the city, but they offered flexibility and they kept a lot of really talented women on staff. So, and then when my husband was sick, they were very flexible with my coming and going. So, I'm really honored that you.
Oh, thank you, and Elliot, of course.
I was just saying before that I'm really excited to be in East Hampton because we used to come here growing up, and I love doing this in small groups because everybody's had experience with cancer and loss, and these things could become very personal. So I'll just talk a little bit about how the book came to be, and then I'll read a few bits, and then the most interesting part is usually the conversation afterwards, so hopefully you'll ask questions and we'll chat. Before I talk about this book, I always say something that I should have put in the book, which I forgot. But there are some very personal, intimate details in here, and I always worry that people will think, how could she expose her family to this? Wouldn't it embarrass her children? So I always want to assure people that I wrote the book as a sort of cathartic exercise for myself, thinking maybe I'd try to get it published, but I wasn't necessarily sure. But before I gave it to an agent, I gave it to, I offered it to our 5 kids, 2 of mine and 3 of Elliot's. We had a step family. And I said, if anybody doesn't want me to publish this or even try to publish it, just let me know, no problem, I'll put it in the drawer, it's fine. So I gave it to them all. Nobody said they had a problem. Only 2 of them actually read it before saying that. So who knows, my daughter, who's 19.
They're both yours?
No, it was really interesting. My kids at the time were, I guess, 13 and 16, and Elliot's kids were out of college, or in college and out of college. The oldest, who was 26 at the time, he really liked it because he felt it preserved his dad's memory in a great way for his new wife, who hadn't really met him, and his children to come. And then the youngest one, Alex, mine, who was 13 when he read it, he wasn't a big reader. But so to my shock, he read it in 2 days, and he returned it with 30 different Post-it notes, all of his editorial suggestions, some of which were very astute, and I wished I had the energy to really follow up on them. But some of them I did follow up on, but some of them were a little more structural, and I couldn't deal with it. But some of them were, I know, it's cute, I kept them. Some of them were, Mom, my piazza wasn't traded from the Mets. He signed on with the so-and-so's. So that was a help. And then my mom had a few suggestions. I didn't give her veto power over whether I could publish this book the way I gave to the kids, but I did put it in for her corrections for accuracies. And I think she was a little unnerved because I misremembered what kind of flowers were at my wedding and what kind of food was served at my wedding. It's like she remembered all that stuff and changed it. Anyway, so everybody that this was not published without informed consent, or at least consent. I also, I think it's interesting when people talk to me who read this book, because they all say it's really honest. And so many people, it's the first word they use, honest, that it makes me wonder if maybe someday I'll wake up and think I shared too much, because I'm not really sure what it was for each of them that makes them say it's so honest. But hopefully I won't have crossed any lines that in my cathartic fit up in my bedroom, I didn't hold back much. So hopefully it won't be uncomfortable for anybody. And the other thing I say is when I try to figure out what parts to read, it's difficult because I wrote different parts in very different moods. So I don't think there's necessarily one chapter that represents the whole. There's, some chapters are a